What if you spent your whole life trying to be enough for everyone, and in the process, forgotten yourself? Enough for your parents, enough for your friends, enough for teachers, partners, strangers. Enough to belong, enough to matter, enough to finally feel that quiet exhale of worthiness you've been chasing for as long as you can remember. Think of the years, layer upon layer of effort, the small ways you molded yourself to fit, the big ways you bent, twisted, reshaped your edges so no one could accuse you of being too much or not enough. The compromises so automatic you barely noticed them. It all looked so normal, didn't it? Smiles offered when you were tired. Yes, whispered when your heart longed to say no. Silences swallowed so peace could be kept, even when it left you restless inside. On the surface, maybe it worked. Maybe people liked you, praised you, approved of you. But underneath, beneath all the masks and adjustments, something quieter was happening. Something you didn't mean to allow. A slow disappearance. The self you were born with, the one that didn't ask to prove, the one that simply was, began to fade into the background. Not gone, not destroyed, just hidden, dimmed. Like a candle placed in a box and carried into the dark. Here's the unsettling truth. You may not even realize how far that disappearance has gone, because striving to be enough has become so familiar, so constant, it feels like breathing. So natural, you can barely tell the difference between who you are and who you've been performing to be. And yet, pause here with me. If all your effort, all your proving, all your endless attempts to hold it together were truly working, why do you still feel that faint heaviness in your chest? Why does the race never end? Why, even on the days you measure up, does relief vanish so quickly, leaving you hungry for more? Hold those questions, let them echo. They are pointing towards something you may not want to see, yet it is the very thing your heart has been waiting for. And now, let's linger for a moment on that heaviness you've been carrying. That subtle tension between who you pretend to be and the self you've tucked away. You know it, don't you? That tightness in your chest, the way your shoulders slump even when you smile. The quiet whisper inside that wonders if any of it is real. Every yes you gave when your heart longed to say no. Every effort to appear calm while something inside throbbed. Every compromise you made so that the world could feel at ease. All of it piled up. Layer upon layer, like invisible weights pressing down. You might have called it responsibility, love, duty, care, and for a while, maybe it even felt noble. But here's the thing. No amount of being enough for others can fill the hollow where your own self belongs. And the strange part? You may not even notice it until the moments of quiet. Those tiny pockets of time when you aren't performing. When a sigh slips out, a thought drifts, or a glance catches your own reflection, and suddenly the question rises, who am I beneath all of this? It's uncomfortable, isn't it? The mind resists, wants to rationalize, to distract. And yet, if you follow that faint tug, that subtle ache, it leads somewhere you've been avoiding, somewhere both terrifying and relieving. Because what you've been doing, trying to prove yourself, fit in, earn approval, isn't the problem. The problem is believing it makes you whole. And that belief, hidden behind smiles and effort, is what keeps you exhausted, restless, spinning in a cycle you can't escape. So pause here, breathe, feel the tension without judgment, let it speak. Notice the whisper that asks, what if all of this striving, all of this effort, isn't actually the path to the relief you've been chasing? What if the answer isn't in being enough for everyone, but in remembering enough for yourself? Hold that thought. Let it linger, just enough to prick curiosity without offering solutions yet. Because what comes next isn't about trying harder, it's about noticing, quietly, the spaces you've ignored, the self you've dimmed, and the possibility that maybe the mask isn't who you are. What if the very thing you've been avoiding, the thought of not being anybody at all, is exactly what your heart has been craving? Not in a scary, empty way, but in the quiet, soft way that feels like finally laying down a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. Imagine a moment without rules to play, without expectations to meet, without the constant measuring, adjusting, performing. No need to be enough, no need to appear calm, no need to prove that you belong. Just breathing, just noticing. Just being here. It feels strange, doesn't it? Dangerous almost. Our minds instinctively resist it because we've been taught that being nobody means being nothing. That somehow, without the persona, we'd vanish, lose significance, slip through life unseen. And yet, consider this. Who is really heavy with effort? The one who struggles to be somebody, or the one who simply rests in being? Here's the subtle paradox. The more you cling to being somebody, the tighter the grip of exhaustion, the longer the cycle of proving, performing, bending. But when you allow the edges to soften, when you stop sculpting yourself for everyone else, something shifts. You don't collapse, you lighten. You don't disappear, you expand. You find room you didn't know existed, and in that space, the heart sighs without words. And this is where the curiosity deepens. You don't need to leap into nobody all at once. You only need to notice the possibility, the gentle, quiet what if that lingers in the background. What if the relief, the breath, the sense of coming home isn't in becoming more, but in allowing less? What if being nobody is not a loss, but the first step toward remembering who you truly are? Hold that thought, let it float. Let it tease the mind lightly without demanding belief. Because tomorrow, or maybe even tonight, you may begin to glimpse the simplicity that has been quietly waiting for you beneath all the masks, all the striving, all the effort. You don't have to vanish completely to feel the relief of being nobody. The openings are subtle, gentle, almost imperceptible if you aren't paying attention. A moment of silence before replying. A pause before saying yes or no. A breath that's just yours, not borrowed from expectations or obligations. Notice how your body softens when you stop performing for a while. The shoulders loosen, the jaw unclenches. Even the mind, so accustomed to scrolling, planning, proving, starts to whisper that it's okay to rest. This is the first quiet invitation, the permission to notice yourself without the weight of somebody. You might catch glimpses in the smallest spaces, a shower you take without thinking about what comes next, a walk where the trees feel more alive than your to-do list, a conversation where you listen more than you speak. Each is a crack in the mask, a moment where the persona steps back and your presence steps forward. Here's the curious part. The world doesn't collapse. People still talk, tasks still need attention, life continues its rhythm. And yet, when you practice being nobody in these small ways, something remarkable happens. You begin to act not from obligation, not from striving, but from a quiet alignment with what's real, right here, right now. You move with less tension, speak with less defensiveness, choose with less fear. It isn't magic. It's simply noticing that the persona, the one always trying to be enough, was never actually necessary to navigate the world. It was a habit, a rehearsal, a story you believed in. And now, in these small openings, you're beginning to remember a different story. One where presence matters more than performance. Where being nobody is not absence, but freedom. And as you notice these moments, allow them to linger. Let them expand. Because the more space you give to nobody, the more you feel the hidden pulse of yourself beneath the effort, beneath the proving, beneath the masks. And this pulse is everything. When you lean into being nobody, even in these small, quiet ways, you begin to notice something surprising, a kind of power that doesn't demand, doesn't push, doesn't need validation. It's soft, patient, unassuming, and yet it moves everything around you with subtle inevitability. Conversations shift without effort. Tension in a room softens before words are spoken. Decisions you once agonized over now unfold with clarity, almost as if life itself whispers the right next step. The effort you once believed was necessary, every calculation, every performance, every mask, starts to feel heavy and unnecessary. Being nobody doesn't mean being invisible. It doesn't mean abandoning responsibilities or withdrawing from life. It means showing up without the added weight of pretending. You are present, fully awake, but you are not burdened by the constant pressure to justify, prove, or defend. You simply are, and paradoxically, that simply carries a depth and strength you never noticed while performing as somebody. And here's the thing, when you stop carrying the weight of being somebody, people notice. Not in the way of admiration or expectation, but in a subtle recognition. They feel the ease, the calm, the space you carry. They don't demand you perform because in this quiet presence, you have already given them something more valuable than effort, authenticity, steadiness, and the unspoken permission to breathe. The freedom of nobody is not a void. It's a space where your attention can flow freely, where creativity isn't forced, where love and connection aren't transactions, but expressions of the life already within you. And the more you inhabit this space, the more you discover that it has always been there, waiting patiently beneath all the layers of striving, beneath all the enough you tried to be. You don't need a grand retreat or a perfect moment to start. The space of nobody is always here, tucked into the ordinary moments you already moved through. Notice it when you're waiting for a bus, when the dishes sit in the sink, when your mind wanders during a conversation. These small pauses, these unclaimed breaths, are the doorways. Begin by noticing yourself without adding anything to it. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Listen to the hum of the world around you without needing to fix, judge, or control it. Watch your thoughts drift by like clouds across a calm sky. You are aware, not as somebody trying to be enough, but as the silent observer behind the doing. And yes, it will feel strange at first. The mind will protest. You should be achieving. You should be proving. You should be acting. But this is the very signal that you are touching something real. The resistance is not a warning. It is the echo of every lifetime you've spent trying to be somebody. Practice is simple, but it's not instant. Every time you notice your attention drifting into old patterns of striving or self-judgment, gently return to the quiet space of nobody. It's like a muscle that grows stronger with repetition. The more often you return, the more natural it becomes, until the presence of nobody begins to shape your interactions, your choices, your entire approach to life. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you start to feel lighter. The heaviness of performance begins to lift. Decisions don't feel like battles anymore, they flow. Relationships don't feel like negotiations, they breathe. Even moments of discomfort become softer, less personal, less urgent. You are discovering that being nobody is not emptiness, it is a fullness that has been waiting beneath all the doing, all the striving, all the masks. Imagine waking up and not feeling the weight of being somebody, not feeling the pull to prove, to perform, to measure yourself against invisible standards. You are free, not because life has changed, not because others have approved, not because everything outside aligns perfectly, but because inside, you have returned to the place that was always yours, the quiet, unclaimed space of nobody. From here, life moves differently. Choices feel lighter, conversations feel fuller. Even challenges become less personal, less heavy, more like waves passing across a vast, calm ocean. You begin to notice the little moments that mattered before, but were buried under striving, the laughter of a friend, the sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your own breath. These moments are not prizes for achieving. They are reminders of what has always been available when you stop trying so hard to be somebody. This is your invitation. Return often to that quiet space. Practice letting go of the masks, the shoulds, the compulsion to prove. Let yourself feel the relief, the softness, the simple joy of being without conditions. And as you explore this freedom, remember, you are not alone. Others are on the same path, seeking, discovering, learning to rest in their own presence. If this message resonates, take a moment to explore more whispers on this channel, videos that invite you deeper into ease, into the quiet center of your being. Share your reflections in the comments, or simply notice how your heart responds. There's no pressure, no right or wrong, only the gentle unfolding of your own awareness, one moment at a time. Being nobody is an emptiness. It's a return to wholeness. And in this wholeness, you may finally realize that you were enough all along.